ladies and gentlemen. You know what that sound means. That sound means we're live for, normally it's Tackle Talk Tuesday. Today is going to be Top Baits Wednesday, coming at you live, not from the Big Bass Dojo in my garage, because it's too hot these days. You know what I'm saying? Cheers, y'all. Uncle Ted, freedom in your ear. Big Bass Splash, Top Baits coming at you live right now. We got some info from multiple Lake Fork guides tonight, so you're going to want to stay tuned to this to have all the latest and greatest to help you catch more and bigger fish this weekend. Tell them, Ted. Let Ted talk to you. Wait a minute. Love it. One of the greatest songs ever, man. It's been kind of our theme song on our Tackle Talk Tuesdays over on Facebook for years now. If you've been following, many of you have. You know what I'm talking about tonight. Man, listen, I got kids. They're getting older. They're both playing football. One's playing sixth grade flag football. The other one is playing freshman high school football. Not varsity. We're not on varsity as freshmen. Far from it. We're far from that, okay? But we're playing, and that's all that matters in Texas. You got to be playing football. So we got that going on. Lots of stuff happening every night of the week, practices, games, all that stuff, because I'm involved coaching on the flag end. So, man, lots of schedule changes on my end. So we can't commit to every Tuesday night because I'm on a flag football practice field for a couple hours. By the time I go out there and set everything up for them before practice, get home, it's a 2.5 hour ordeal. So Tuesday nights are out for now, but that's okay because we're here on Wednesday this week. This is perfect, man. A lot of you guys are going to be practicing and pre-fishing for Big Bass Splash tomorrow, and so the tournament starts on Friday. So this is a great opportunity on Wednesday to get you guys lined up where, hey, you can go up there. Once the live stream's over, tie you on some baits, hit the tackle store in the morning on your practice day and get some of these baits if you don't already have them in your boat. But tonight we're really going to dig in deep on the best baits to be throwing this weekend. So somebody said you let yourself go. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I didn't mean to. Look, I'm just living, baby. Livin, living. You know what I mean? All good, though. All good. Good thing I don't need to be good looking to catch. I don't think the bass care what you look like. So we got that going for us. So, and I've already got the princess in the house. So what else do I need to be good looking for? Like I win. Champion. Let's go. So let's talk a little bit about Sealy Outdoors Big Bass Splash. We talked about it, on, I believe it was Sunday night. I can't remember. We did a live stream and we talked about kind of the conditions of the lake, what was happening. Did a further breakdown on another video that was not live after that. So this is the third video of the week. So if you didn't catch those, basically we're a little bit ahead. Water's a little cooler than it usually is at the Big Bass Splash. Water temps cooled down a little earlier in the year this year. So we've got some of those fish just like it's not in a big way. Like it's not full on fall feed bag time yet, but we do have some fish pushing shallow and moving with bait and getting active on bait. And man, that's a great thing. What's interesting to me about this tournament is we're past turnovers. Water's cooled off enough for that, but it's kind of starting to warm back up a little bit now, like with some warmer temps. And so what's really kind of happening making this tournament interesting is, and I've told some people this on consultations this week. If you don't know, we do consultations where you can get one-on-one time with me. And what we do is set up a Zoom meeting, and I share my screen, and we go over map study and discuss what's going on with the lake. And I've done it on other lakes for people and had them have great success in their tournaments on other lakes or just their fishing trips. A lot of tournament guys use the consultations for help, whether it's on Fork or different lakes. But had some of that this week, obviously, with Sealy's coming up. And I've talked to all these guys about this. I think it's important right now to do what you're confident in. I think there's a lot of things happening in the water column. Like there's a lot of ways to catch them right now is what I mean when I said a lot of things happening. Like if you want to go to the very back of a creek and go look for fish chasing shad and wander around some grass and whatever else, like you can catch fish doing that. If you want to fish docks, like you're a dock fisherman, like you can catch fish doing that. If you want to fish out offshore main lake structure, you can catch fish doing that. If you want to scope around in that kind of no man's land, mid-depth stuff with your live scope, looking for isolated fish on trees, 2 or 3 at a time, bridge pilings, whatever you want to do out in front, just wherever, spinning fish, like you can do all of those things and have some success. I think what you're going to see this week, I think you're going to see a lot of people catch some fish. I don't think anybody's going to go out there and just catch 40 a day or go out there and catch, 30-pound bags consecutive days. I don't think you're going to see that. It's not fishing just lights out like that, but what it is it's fishing very diverse, which is great for this tournament when the lake gets extremely crowded. It's fishing very diverse, kind of very spread out, a lot of different things happening where you can catch them a lot of different ways. And so you guys are going to be able to really dig in and do what you're confident in and kind of just try to get away from the crowd a little bit as much as you can. I mean, that's not going to be really possible in this event. There's so many people that fish this event for good reason. So you got, a lot of different ways to do it. So a lot of people are going to have some success and feel good about their day and have caught a decent amount of fish, I think is what you're going to see this weekend. So that being said, there's going to be some variety in the baits. And so we're going to break it down into categories, right? So that's what we're going to do. Let's start shallow and go to deep. How about that? Let's just do that. So if you want to fish shallow, you want to get to the back of a creek arm, you want to get in some pockets in the back corners and look for those shad chasers, pull them back and pushing those shad back in those corners and back on those grass flats where you can find those. Your best baits in that situation, to me, are going to be two baits. Well, you can add a third one in there, but really it comes down to this. It's a 3.5 inch, 3 to 3.5 inch swim bait with a 1 to 2 odd owner flashy swimmer hook. Give that a little extra flash. Those fish really key in on small shad this time of year. You're going to hear a lot of downsized baits from me tonight. This is kind of a unique time of year where the big fish and the small fish both bite the little bait. They always, this time of year, when they come out of turnover, they get that first half of fall, they key in on very small shad. And so the bigger fish will absolutely bite the smaller baits this time of year. And so we said in the title, if you read the title, that we have info from multiple guides. I don't have anybody going live with me tonight, but I talked to some guys today. One of my good buddies, David Ozio. You're looking for a fishing guide, he sure is a good one. We'd love to have you here in my boat. Man, if we can't get you here, you need to go with David. And I'll give you another recommendation here in a minute. But David's a great dude. Works as hard as anybody on the water. Very, very in-depth understanding scientifically of what goes on. Has much more of a detailed scientific understanding than most guys that I know. So I called him today and said, hey, dude, give me your one best bait. What's your best bait? Same thing. He's using the Reaction Innovations Little Dipper. I can't argue with that. That's as good of a swim bait. I mean, I'm not really particular about which little swim bait I'm using. It could be a Kitech, whatever you want. But that Reaction Innovations Little Dipper is a very good one that I use frequently and catch a lot of fish on. I've been using it lately myself. So, and they have the Little Dipper, the Skinny Dipper, and the Big Dipper. And the Little Dipper is the 3.5 inch size. And so David's top bait for this week was the first one I'm talking about. And to me, that's the best bait if you're fishing shallow, especially around vegetation. You can fish it through absolutely everything. It goes through all cover, any kind of grass, wood, whatever you want to throw it around, it's good. It's going to come through it good. So very efficient bait, allows you to cover a lot of water, and it's going to get a lot of bites, and it's going to get some big bites. It's going to surprise you. You're going to go along and catch 1 pounder, 2 pounder, 1 pounder, 2 pounder, 1 pounder, 2 pounder, 8 pounder. What? Like, what just happened? That's how that deal goes right now. And the other thing secondary to that on those grass flats, those little shallow, the backwater, the back of the creek type areas, back of pocket type areas, is a small spinnerbait. I talked to David about a 1/4 ounce spinnerbait. He said, hell, he even threw an 1/8 ounce spinnerbait today. And that a small spinnerbait with small little willow blades. Remember, guys, they're keyed in on shad that are like that big, like little bitty shad. So throwing those baits that mimic those little shad that are running in small groups, that's a big deal this time of year on your moving baits. And then thirdly, if you want to in those grass flats, you can finesse them. You can throw a weightless fluke. You can throw a Senko. The fluke seems to be the best weightless plastic this week. But it could be a Senko, it could be a wacky worm, whatever you want to do. Nico rig, if you want to call it that. Ned rig, any of that type of stuff, finesse that'll hover over some of that grass in the water and kind of come through it clean for you where you can still be efficient. What I like to do personally is go through an area with the winding baits, a spinner bait, the swim bait. If I get some bites, I like to go back through that area with a weightless plastic like a fluke. So that's what I've been doing, just kind of milk some more bites out of an area. And that's important in a crowded tournament like this. So that's the shallow water top baits. Little swim bait, spinner bait, and weightless plastic of your choice. I like a fluke right now. That's been the best one for me. Senko, wacky worm, all that. Okay. Let's move out to mid-depth. Let's talk dock fishing, because dock fishing is also a very big thing this time of year. Fish are moving around. Docks make great stop signs, especially when they have a depth change or a creek channel swing or something like that along with them. And again, downsides. I'm not a drop shot guy. For you guys that have followed my channel, like, we're power fishermen, dude. Like, we fish East Texas. We got big, heavy cover. We got big, heavy bass. And we like big line and big baits and all that good stuff. Like, we're power. Like, we like that stuff. That's what we'd rather be doing. This is the one time a year. The one time a year when I really go into the drop shot stuff is right now. So for dock fishing right now, it's a light Texas rig, a 1/4 ounce Texas rig with a little creature bait, or like a little 6 or 7 inch ribbon tail power worm, or a baby brush hog, or whatever your preference is. You know, it doesn't, whatever your preference is. Quarter ounce Texas rig is a deal that can work along with that drop shot around docks. Those are my two favorite baits to throw around docks this time of year. So that one's really simple, right? Just do that, pitch and flip, do your thing up around the docks, the corners, underneath. You know, you guys know how to fish a dock. We're not going to do an in-depth dock fishing seminar here, but that's the baits right there. And then thirdly is going to be the deep stuff, okay? And go ahead and pop some questions in here. I'll be happy to answer questions once we get done talking about the baits on the deep segment here. I'll be more than happy to answer all the questions we can get to. So fire those questions in here and we'll get them answered. Thirdly is going to be a little bit more offshore. So you can get out there anywhere from 16 to 20 foot. Talk to Cody Mays. That's been his key dip. I haven't been fishing offshore a lot today. Another great fishing guy on Lake Fork is going to be my buddy Cody Mays. He gave me his top baits for this week. And he's been primarily doing this. He's been offshore more than anything else. And he said he's been in fishing points in humps in 16 to 20 foot of water. And he's been throwing a Carolina rig with a fluke. But his best bait's been a drop shot. Now he's going all the way California gay. Because, you know, like you can win a tournament. You can win a tournament throwing a drop shot. The worst part about winning a tournament throwing a drop shot is you got to tell everybody you're gay. So that's kind of tough. You know what I mean? You know, y'all know what I'm saying. So the fairy wand or whatever you want to call it, the drop shot. Cody's going all the way California gay now. So what he's doing, he's actually throwing a drop shot with a small worm, with a 4-inch finesse worm. The difference in what I do and what Cody does, Cody's throwing a 4-inch finesse, zoom finesse worm, like little prototypical Clearwater, California, up north smallmouth, drop shot stuff. Cody's in the chat. He says, love you too. Yeah, Cody's going all the way California gay. We're put that in the chat, as they say. We're going to clip that one for the sound takes later. But I like to do a little bit bigger profiles worm. So my two choices of worm, if I'm going to go like a skinny straight tail, I go the full 6 or 7 inch, like regular size zoom trick worms, what I'll use on that. And that's still pretty finesse. For me, that's very finesse. That's about as finesse as I get. But really what I like to throw more than that is a grande bass rattlesnake. Grande bass rattlesnake's been my best drop shot bait this time of year since before I was gotten, for 15 years now, since I've been living here. That's been my best drop shot bait. Whenever I throw a drop shot, it's my favorite one for fork. Fatter profile. Grande bass rattlesnake has those rings on it, moves more water, does a good job of that. So, and my favorite color is called Trophy Hunter by Grande Bass. It's just an absolutely phenomenal bait around here. It works best on a drop shot. It's like it was designed. I like to get like a 3/0 EWG hook on my drop shot, about a 1/4 to 3/8 ounce drop shot weight, and I rig about anywhere from, I guess, about 8 inches or so, leader or whatever you want to call it. It's not really a leader because the weight's below the bait, but y'all know the tag end that the weight hangs off of on drop shot. I go about 8 inches on that. So that's how I'm rigging my drop shot around those mid-depth docks that I'm fishing. Cody's going a little bit more finesse with a 4-inch finesse worm, and he's doing that offshore on the 16 to 20 foot points and humps. So appreciate Cody and David very much for sharing that information. Hey, you got 3 different guides' perspectives there on what baits to fish on different structures. Hopefully you guys find some value in that. I think it's pretty awesome that we got a little core group of guys that's willing to do that, man. Because I know, you know, before I was guiding, when I first moved here, and I was reading, you know, back then social media wasn't a lot of fishing information on, so wasn't any fishing information really on social media in 2010 or 9 when I moved here. But I read every online report I could. I watched every TV fishing show. I watched every YouTube video there's ever been made. I've seen KVD fish a spinnerbait on Lake Fork in that one video probably 157 times. Studied every second of it, right? Like, there just wasn't a lot out there back then. And so I think it's really neat that we have nowadays a bunch of guys that'll share information all across the country. But I think what we do here on Your Lake Fork Guide's a little bit unique. I think we go a little bit more in depth, like giving you the live update from dudes that have been on the water, that do it for a living all the time. We've been on the water this week, and we're giving you that information the day before the tournament. I think that's a little special, and I'm really proud of what we've done there, and I can't thank those guys enough for buying in on that and participating in that with me. So big shout out to them. Cody's in here in the chat. He said he forgot the shaky head is working as well in watermelon red and plum. That doesn't surprise me. Shaky head. I know he likes to throw that 3/8 ounce shaky head with like that kind of the shorter, fatter straight tail worms, like the 7-inch, 8-inch straight tailworms are a little bit bigger than normal. I personally, this time of year, will actually go down when I'm and a shaky head is effective. I haven't been throwing it much because the drop shot's been my deal with the rattlesnake on it. But I have in the past thrown shaky head a lot this time of year, and I actually like to go all the way down and go finesse and go 1/4 ounce with a Zoom trick worm on my shaky head this time of year. Normally we like to throw big perm on the big shaky head. This time of year we go little shaky head, 7-inch trick worm, 6-inch trick worm, whatever it is. The Zoom trick worm, y'all know what it is. All right, so there's the top baits. A little recap real quick in case you missed it. If you're fishing shallow, you can kind of fish it almost however you want on the lake right now. If you're fishing back of creeks, back of pockets around grass and vegetation, you want to throw a little small 3.5-inch swim bait on a little small owner flash swim hook, 1 or 2 no bigger than 3 for sure. And you want to throw a little 1/4 ounce or even 1/8 ounce white spinner bait with small willow blades, and you will follow that up with a fluke. That's your shallow baits. Mid-depth docks is a big deal in the mid-depth range right now, and I'm throwing a drop shot with a grande bass rattlesnake on there, and we're throwing a light Texas rig, 1/4 ounce Texas rig with either a 6 to 7-inch ribbon tail worm, power worm, or a baby brush hog on there. Out deep offshore, points and humps, 16 to 20 foot, Carolina rig fluke, and drop shot. Cody's throwing the 4-inch finesse worm on the drop shot out there. You can do the grande bass out there as well, however you're more comfortable. So, all right, let's answer some questions. Pat Underwood said he thought that grande bass trophy hunter was his secret. No, that's been a staple in my boat for a long time now, brother. Long time. All right, Justin Franco, would you recommend more slowing down or cover water with the small movements? Those moving baits with the small moving baits, the little spinner bait, the little swim bait, those are designed to cover water. So we're covering water with those, absolutely. Now, look, man, if I get a bite, am I going to make another cast in that area? Absolutely. I'm going to make a few more, right? But I'm going to kind of move around and go through an area with that and then flip around. And when I want to go back through it real slow and milk my way through it, I'm going to pick up that fluke. So I'm covering more water with the spinner bait and the swim bait and then slowing down and really milking that area with that fluke. All right, next question up from that. How's the grass growth looking? Still healthy or already starting off? You know, grass is ever evolving. Some areas we've got some areas where we've got quite a bit of emergent vegetation, which emergent means above the water line, submergent below the water line. And, you know, the best grass, what you're really looking for to grow is the submergent vegetation. Submergent is going to be hydrilla coontail. You want to see a lot of that. So what's happening is we've got a lot of emergent vegetation in some areas. And some of that has grown out into deep enough water where it's kind of choked off and killed off some of the grass. So some areas it's kind of died back in, but in other areas the grass is really taken off and grown in. So it just depends on which creek you're in the lake. Some of them never grew a whole lot of submergent vegetation at all this year. So it's not just everywhere you go on the lake by any means, but there is a lot of areas that have it. Some are better than others. It's kind of, there's a little bit of randomness to how healthy the grass growth is. I will tell you, I've talked to the biologist several times this year. I haven't talked to him in the last month or so, but I've talked to the biologist several times this year because I was concerned about some of the growth we were seeing that typically in the past they have sprayed, and they are not spraying Lake Fork this year, other than any isolated patches of salvinia that they find, salvania, whatever you want to call it, John, salvania. They're not going to spray anything else. And they've only sprayed salvania once this year, and it was way back in the beginning of the year, like in the winter still. And it was coming in from a pond that was just upstream, and it was overflowing out of that pond. That salvania wasn't coming into that one corner of that creek. They sprayed that one corner to knock it out back there in the wintertime, and they have not sprayed the lake since then. And we have an abundance of vegetation of all kinds in the lake, really. There's, like I said, tons of emergent vegetation, pondweed, potato grass, whatever it's all called. I don't even know what all the names of it are. But that stuff that kind of sits on the surface and blossoms out there, there's a bunch of that all over the lake for the most part. And there's a lot of good areas of hydrilla coontail. Mostly coontail, but some areas do have some good hydrilla in it too. So lake looks good on grass growth. I think it looks really good. I think we've got enough in there to hold over the winter good. Like you're going to have some good winter grass fishing. It's grown deep enough in some areas to hold some fish and stay alive good and healthy throughout the winter for the most part. So I think we'll be in good shape. Then we get some more growth next year on it, and we'll really be looking good. And then it'll start to kind of look like it used to, and it'll be awesome. Best color for soft plastics. I like the greens myself. I know plum's always popular at Lake Fork. I know black and blue is always popular everywhere in the country. I think color, you need to be confident in it more than anything else. You don't have to don't overthink it. Don't be too particular about what color you throw. I like Cody said, he's throwing watermelon red on one of his, Shaggy Head or whatever, watermelon red or plum. I think that's two great options. I love watermelon with gold flake myself. I like to go, I've got some custom pours that are watermelon with red and gold flake in it. I really like, that's my favorite color that I throw. I mean, am I catching them any better on that than I would watermelon green or purple or whatever? Probably not. Probably not much different, but I think having confidence in it, I think that matters. Skeeter, don't you get to lick in that metal bowl while we're live. Come here. Come on. You want to say hi to everybody? Y'all see Skeeter? There's old Skeeter bug. Skeeter's hanging out with us tonight. She wants to go fishing, like always. Mid-lake or just look for clean water. No, I mean, the lake's not really very dirty. I mean, you go far enough in some areas, you can find some dirty water, but those fish that are in that dirty water, I mean, at this point, they're used to it. Like, they're residential fish. They've been back there all year. Like, that's their home. It's not, you can still catch them in that dirty water. You don't have to seek out clean water. A lot of, and I'm going to keep saying this, it sounds like a cop-out. It is what it is. A lot of what's going to happen this weekend is going to be about you guys fishing what you're confident in. That is going to be a big deal because there are so many different areas that you can catch some decent fish in. And like I said, I don't think you're gonna Skeeter quit licking the bowls. All the food's gone. She's trying to lick the chrome off of the bowl over there. I'm telling you, this dog acts like she starves to death every day. She can't ever eat enough. She got a tapeworm, I'm pretty sure. But lost my train of thought there. Anyway, so many different ways to do it right now. Nobody's gonna just absolutely dump the clutch and catch, like I said, catch 40 a day or anything like that. But a lot of guys are going to have good quality days, Skeeter, and doing what they want to do, being confident. So, if you're comfortable getting in the back of the creek and being around some dirty water, man, get back here and be around it. And it's not that dirty. Like, the water that's dirty is not dirty. Like, we're in pretty good shape water clarity-wise. Cody Mays says, Billy, just so you know, drop shot is only gay if you kiss afterwards. No, bro, like it's not because we don't know what you're doing in your hometown. Like I don't know what you do on your time. That's your time. I don't know. I don't know who's hiding what in your closet, dog. I'm just saying. If you're willing to put that fairy wand in your hand, like there's some tendencies. That's all I'm saying. Cody licks the worm for luck. Straight frog or chug frog? What's your choice? Well, straight frog or chug. So popping frog, straight frog, or like pointy nose or popping frog. Yeah. Man, I always go with the popping lips, the cupped lips, just because the advantage to a pointy nose frog is it's supposed to walk better. Well, the frogs that I fish these days, that toad thumper frog, the popping one, you ain't gonna find a frog walk any better than that. That's like a I mean, it'll side to side on you big time. So I always kind of stay with the popping frogs just because they're more versatile. And if I want to walk it, I can walk it. And if I want to chug it along, I can chug it. If I want to really make it spit, like I can do whatever I want to do with that frog with that one model. So I pretty much stay with the popping frogs just because I can do anything I want to with it. So. Is there any fish behind the 2946 island this time of year? Yeah, there'll be some back there. I don't know if there's going to be a whole bunch back there. There's always, this time of year, so what happens when the lake turns over, the fish kind of go poof and scatter to the bank. So almost, it's not just every single place you go on lake, but like a lot, like a place like that big long ridge out there holds a lot of fish throughout summer. And that's out in front of that island. So when the turnover happens, there's going to be a good bit of those fish that go in back behind that island. And yeah, some of those are going to still be there right now. There definitely going to still be some fish lingering there. Like I said, I don't know if you're going to go in there and just dump the clutch, but I don't know if you're going to do that anywhere on the lake right now, with the situation being what it is. So I think, yeah, that's as good a spot. Yeah, that's a good spot to try. Any swim jig action? Thanks so much for doing this. Hey, thank all of you so much for watching this. I didn't do the shout outs like I normally do. I apologize for that, but I do still appreciate every one of y'all watching, of course. Swim jig, You could probably catch them on swim jig. I have for years, and if you go back 3 or 4 years, you'll see a video of me and David talking about that little swim bait this time of year for the Big Bass Splash 3 or 4 years ago. But even before that, for years, I've had so much confidence in the spinner bait and that little swim bait. That's kind of what I stick to this time of year. I like, because on the swim bait, we're throwing the flashy swimmer. On the spinner bait, obviously, you got the blades. I like the fact that those look like multiple small shad, because I think that's something they key in on. So a swim jig doesn't replicate that as well. That's probably why I don't throw it as much. Like, I just tend to throw those other ones, and they're very similar baits. They cover the same water column parts. But if you're a swim jig guy and you're confident, you could catch them on a swim jig. I'm confident that you could. What I would recommend, though, is profile. Make it small. Remember, they're keyed in on really small shad. So I'm going to go down to a small swim jig, maybe a 1/4 ounce swim jig, maybe a 3/8 ounce swim jig to make sure that have enough weight resistance to get the tail action. But I'm going to trim the skirt really short, and I'm going to put a small swim bait trailer instead of any kind of crawls. If I want to use the crawl trailer or whatever to have all the kicking action, make sure you trim everything nice and compact and make that bait as small a profile as you can right now. That's a big deal. Cody asked if I want to go throw drop shots tomorrow. The answer is no. I never want to go throw drop shots. I don't. It's not what I want to do. Like, I want to go to the lake and throw a swim bait, like a big swim bait. Like, I want to go to the lake and throw a jig. That's what I want to do. Now, will I go throw it? Yes, I will go throw the drop shot. The Karens are out and about on these docks. Beware. I haven't had any run-ins. Fork's traditionally been good about that just because it's such a fishing-centric lake. You don't usually get some of those issues. I've had a couple over the years. Like, I can remember one in particular where I got a bait hung up. Like, the lake was really low. That's how long ago this was. This was like in 2011 when the lake was like 8 foot low. I tried to make a long cast and like slide it way under a dock, and I had all the room in the world because the lake's 8 foot low. And so I tried to throw it in there where it would just go under the bottom of the dock, which was, 8 foot above the water, and fly way back under this dock. And I missed, and it went on top of this dock. And the dock, remember, it's 8 foot above me, like 8 foot above the water. But they had a ladder on that dock, and I kind of eased up there, and I was looking at that ladder. I was kind of looking around, and I see this lady come out of her porch. And she just kind of sit there staring at me. So I hollered at her and said, "Hey, I hung a bait up there on top of your dock. Do you mind if I climb this ladder to get that bait off?" She goes, "If you do, it'll be fine. I'll just shoot at you." That's what she said. I said, "Okay, you got you a crankbait." Cut my line and left. I didn't fish that dock. I don't know that I fished that dock again to this day. Because hell, I didn't catch nothing on it that day. So I'm fine. We can leave that dock alone. Yeah, no, a lady told me she was going to shoot at me if I got on her dock because I hung a bait up. So I have had one experience with a dock Karen out there. But other than that, I've never had any run-ins. There was dude, I could tell you guys so many Lake Fork stories, and I'll tell you one more about dock fishing, and I'll quit telling stories because we could get into a long night. We may need, I don't know if this cup's got enough for all them stories. But old Dean Stroman passed away, but he guided on the lake. I mean, I don't know if you know, but like, there's a technique called strolling a crankbait, right? Like, I think Dean was the grandfather of that. Strolling a crankbait's where you throw your crankbait as far as you can, you open the bail on your reel, and you take your trolling motor, you run as far that way as you can go, and then you start winding. And you got all this line out, like so much line out, and the crankbait gets deeper. And Dean was kind of the grand poobah of that back in the day. He used to have a report or a website or something that said "Strolling with Stroman." And Dean was kind of a legend around the lake. He's old head, been there forever, well-known guy. But Dean, I'd heard some stories about Dean, about how he could be kind of a little cantankerous with you on the water, a little confrontational, especially around his dock. If you're fishing around his dock, he had a dock in Long Branch, big long dock, tons of brush, lights. Like, it was beautiful dock, deep water, really deep water on the end of it, went way out there. Great dock, one of the best docks on the lake to this day. And I was up there night fishing. We used to fish night fishing tournaments, me and my buddy Chris Blackman, and we're fishing. And Dean did a lot of night trips in the summer, and I'm fishing Dean's dock. And nobody's around, it's just me, no other boats. And I'm fishing Dean's dock, another boat starts coming in the cove, and I don't think nothing of it. I'm just head down, tournament fishing, night fish tournament, I'm going. Man, next thing I know, I look up, and this boat that's come in, he's like like it's Bassmaster Lee series, and he's a spectator, dude. Like he's right behind me, and he's watching. And I'm like, "Hey, man, how's it going?" You know, talk to him. He's like, "Oh, pretty good. Y'all been catching them?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, we've been catching a few, couple off this dock." He goes, "You catch them off that brush pile or that brush pile?" And I go, "Man, you fish this dock. You know it pretty well." He goes, "Yeah, it's my dock." So he was on a night fishing guided trip, and what happened there was I was blocking his entrance to his boat slip, and he was waiting for me to get done fishing so he could pull his customers into his boat slip, and they were going to fish off his pier under his lights. And he didn't say a word. He sat there and let me fish it. And then once I figured that out, of course, I got out of his way, let him in, and they went to fishing the dock, and we moved to the next one. And but had a great conversation. It's the nicest guy you could ever. So I'd always heard this stuff about Dean Stroman being kind of confrontational about fishing around his dock, and he could get on you on the water and all that. And dude, the one time I had an interaction on the water with him, he was the most on a guide trip. He was the nicest dude he could have ever been. So don't always believe what you hear about somebody around the lake. That's for sure. That's for sure. So I've never had, other than that one lady that didn't want me climbing on her dock, which I kind of understand that. That's her property. I get it. That's Texas. You got property rights. But I've never had any dock carrying issues. So to hear that is kind of strange to me. Maybe modern times it's finally starting to drift out here a little bit and leak in on us some of that, like we don't need to go into that. Dustin Jones, that's how's the bite on jigs. Man, it's not there yet. Like it's coming. It's coming. We need a little bit cooler water, just a little bit cooler water temps. And you're going to need to start small because the jig bite's mainly going to be a shallow jig bite at first. And there's some young of the year crawfish that show up around the grass and stuff in the shallow water. And a small little jig, a very small profile. Again, small profile this time of year, it can be a big deal. Traditionally for me, that's more, we get that going in October, and it's really good in November. And then towards the end of November, we switch to the little bit creek channel swing, deeper stuff. Once it start getting colder, we get out there deeper in them creek channels and start throwing the big jigs then in the creek channel bends. But when you're fishing around shallow vegetation, the jig needs to be a lighter jig. So that deal's coming up. It's not quite here yet. Coming to Lake Fork in January from North Carolina, what would be a good boat ramp to launch from? Oh my gosh, like, I will tell you, we are blessed. We are not boat ramp poor at Lake Fork. There's so many. And good. They're good boat ramps. You got the public ramps. Both of the 515 public ramps are great. The 154 public ramp is great. The new Sabine River Authority SRA area, I think it's called Candy Point boat ramp. It's kind of on the middle. Oh, God dang. You can grow hair or something there. Poke that. But it's kind of on that point that runs out of Little Caney. Most of y'all know where it is, but the Caney Point SRA ramp's really good. And then you got your private ramps, your Lake Fork Marinos, Lake Fork Resort, Minnebucket, Oak Ridge, all those. And Rainswood's got a public ramp. Val's has got a private ramp. And the private ramps, you usually have to pay anywhere from $3 to $5 a launch. No big deal. Very reasonable. So got all that stuff going on. It's lots of ramps, dude. So basically just wherever you want to fish in the lake, pick the closest ramp, and it's probably going to be a great ramp to launch at. We don't have a whole lot of ramp issues. There's been a stretch or two over the years, but I haven't heard of anything in a long time about there being any issues at any ramps at Lake Fork. I'm sure the meth heads just heard me, and they're queuing up to steal something this weekend. Oh boy, Carter Broussard says, I'm new to bass fishing. Can you give advice to bass movements? Oh man, the search bar on YouTube is my advice. There's a lot of good information, a lot of false and bad information out there. That's a little bit of the problem. We got so much information out there, which is great. And there's a lot of really good information. Man, there's also a lot of really bad information from people that are just trying to make content. They're trying to do what's right, but like some people just jump the gun and get to talking about stuff they don't really know what they're talking about sometimes. And so there's some bad information out there. There's so much to that, and it changes water body to water body. So if I was even going to try to get in that conversation with you, I would need to ask you some questions like, where are you fishing? What lakes are your home lakes? If I don't know them, now I got to ask you, what's the water color? What's the geography. What's the land structure? Like, how deep is the lake? How steep are the banks? Like, what's the structure situation? Is there grass? Like, I got to know all, because all that's going to change how those fish live day to day and how they move throughout the year. I will tell you this: in general, bass don't move as much as you think they do. Some lakes they do, but it's pretty rare. Like, I think on the herring lakes they move more than anywhere else, like where they got a bunch of blueback herring. But and that's just what I've heard. I've never fished a blueback. Well, I have, but it's been very little and very long time ago when I fished in South Carolina when I was in the Marine Corps back in the day. But man, it's just there's a lot of variables there, dude. That's not something we can get into in one video. From Louisiana, same guy said he's from Louisiana. Mentions Toledo Bend. I don't even know what False Point and Henderson Lakes. I don't know those lakes. But if you're in Louisiana, it's going to make things a little bit simpler because they're mostly going to be shallow. Toledo Bend, there's a lot of offshore structure fishing out there, obviously, but there's also a lot of shallow fish. So, but again, dude, it's not something I can get into in one video tonight. Like, you need to, what I would recommend doing is searching. You can literally search winter bass fishing Toledo Bend and find videos. Look through enough videos, you'll find some videos where guys talk about what happens in the winter on Toledo Bend. Spring bass fishing on Toledo Bend. Search that. Summer, fall, like search right now, search fall bass fishing on Toledo Bend. You'll find some videos out there of guys giving you some good info. Yep, you will. So that's the biggest thing, man. That's just such a complex topic. I can't really dig into it on a live stream. Trying to find a fishing body. Sure, he meant buddy, but if you, I don't, this is a fishing body. I don't know that you want to find this. This big old thing right here, that's a fishing body. All right, because we eat fast food because we're on the go because we got to get to the water, right? And we stay in one place all day because we're confined to a 20-foot space. And then we're so tired by the time we get home and re-rig all our baits that we just sit on the couch on our fat butt and get fatter and eat something else that's probably not good for us. So this is a fishing body, if that's what you're looking for. Found it. If you were to pre-fish, what would you mainly focus on? Man, just numbers. Like, I think this time of year, there's no really, you can't really differentiate the sizes. Like, you can't be like, well, if I go offshore, I'm going to catch bigger fish than if I'm shallow. That's not true this time of year. And even like when you're catching small fish this time of year, like you'll catch the random big fish. Like, they're mixed in. They really do. It's like turnover turns the whole lake over, and it's like it mixes all the fish up. So what I would mainly be looking for if I'm pre-fishing is numbers of bites. Like, how fast am I getting bit? How frequently am I getting bit? Where can I catch the most fish? Because I think that's kind of like you got to increase the odds with a slot, especially, Lake Fork, you got under 16, over 24. So that's a big deal on the inches on Fork. Like, you've got to catch the most fish you can this time of year when they're all mixed up to try and increase your chances of getting that 15 3/4 inch thick built fish or that over 24 inch fish. The more bites you get, the closer you are to catching one of those money fish. In my opinion right now, it's pretty random. Like, I can't differentiate, okay, if I go over here and do this, I'll catch 2-pounders. But if I go over here and do this, I'll catch 6-pounders. Like, or if I do this, I got a real chance at a 10-pounder. Like, the only way you can really do that is live scope. Like, live scope, you can do that because you can see the fish before you throw at it. So if you're good with live scope, if you got some time behind the screen, you can differentiate the sizes obviously on live scope because you can see them. So other than that, man, like the big ones can show up anywhere. The 2-pounders can show up with the 1s and the 4s, and it's just all mixed up. So numbers. Caught one last year. It was 23 3/4 inches. It was heartbreaking. Yeah, that'll do it, man. That'll do it. So I had a consultation with a gentleman last night. He did one last year before Sealy's. And dude, he just had a hell of a weekend. I mean, the pictures he sent me, my gosh, did he catch them, dude? Like, it never got an over. Like, and I mean, 22 and 23 inch fish just left and right, man. And never did catch an over. It just the way it worked out. If you want some last minute advice, by the way, so what we do, I think I mentioned earlier, we do consultations where we get on a Zoom meeting, and it's $100 for 30 minutes or $200 for an hour, and send you a Zoom meeting link, share my screen. We do map study. We discuss on video about whatever you want to talk about and prep you for whatever you want to prep on for the lake. And I do have a schedule change in my boys' football schedule. So if anybody wants a last minute consultation, I can do one or maybe even two tomorrow night. Because I was supposed to be at a football game in Sunnyvale over there by Dallas, but now I'm not. So we're all good. So if y'all need if anybody wants a last minute consultation, we can do that tomorrow evening. Justin Franco says, appreciate it and gig them. They look good. The boys look good Saturday against Florida. I like that quarterback that came in place of Connor Wigman, Marcel Reed. He looked. Did you see the ankle breaker he put on that one? Oh my gosh! Like, that poor linebacker from Florida had a rough time in the film room come Monday, dog. Like that was as bad of an ankle break as you're ever going to see ever in football anywhere on any level. He did a hesitation pause step and literally sent that dude tumbling the other direction. It was incredible. I loved every second of that, as I'm sure you know by the attire I'm in tonight. All right, folks. Sounds like we got all the questions answered, got you some top bait information. Man, really appreciate you guys watching as always. Go to your Lake Fork guide, book a guide trip, holler at us on the phone number 903-519-1542. Anything you guys need, email, text, call, whatever y'all need to do, man, let us know. We're happy to help any way we can. We got the Fish Life app. We've talked about that this week a lot. You can subscribe to that. That's going to give you some great information. There's no app detailed and no app that's provided the success for anglers on those lakes the way that Fish Life has. There's a huge track record. You can look it up for yourself, but it's incredibly effective for guys. Consultations, we've had great success helping guys do that. And I think we've been able to be successful just because we're just open and honest and willing to give away stuff that most anglers, the culture of bass fishing, you're just not supposed to give that stuff away. And I've always been counterculture my whole life. So here we are doing things the wrong way, but trying to make it work. Cheers, everybody. We'll see you guys next time right here on your Lake Fork Guide.